As it coincided with our day off, I went to the Hall of Fame ceremony on Saturday for Patrick Willis. And luckily, while I was there, I ran into Merle and congratulate him on his great honor. I think that officially puts him up there with the all-time greats of Philly, like By Sam, Bill Campbell, Harry Callis, and in a different form, Dave Zinkoff. When I mentioned that to a few guys here today, they showed their age and didn't even know who Zinkoff was.
They're looking at me, Vic. I know.
Maybe I'm showing my age, but who's first?
You're going to be in the. You like to watch games from the booth, right? Not the sideline. What is it about that perch that you like rather than sideline?
Well, number one, it's the best view. And I can see what's happening, and I don't have to rely on other people telling me what's happening. And, there's a reason they filmed the game from up there in a booth right or to the left of me. There's a reason the owners are at that same level. They could sit anywhere they want in the stadium. And it's the best view is number one, because my most important job on game day is to call the game, and I need to have the best view. Okay, and I don't have to rely on others to give me a bunch of information.
How about communication with players?
It's fine. All the coaches, all the position coaches will be down on the field, and any communication I have to make to the players will come through them, and I have confidence that will be seamless.
How much were you involved in the free agent signing of CJ?
Well, I was involved in it, to the degree that any of the ones, but obviously that's Howie's final decision, and that's the guy Howie wanted.
So I assume you liked him. And why
yeah.
How do you think he'll be effective?
I think he'll be good. I think he's had a good camp so far. The good thing about what he's been doing so far, and I even told him this, there's been a day or two where he really wasn't even noticeable, and that's a good thing just because he didn't have action come his way in the limited reps he had, whereas some guys can have some screw-ups even in those situations. And I think he's had a good camp up to this point.
Is that a byproduct of your system, having probably a fair amount of too high safety shell?
I wouldn't go that far because we're down. We play a lot of single safety too.
What have you seen? A couple weeks into camp, what stands out to you about the corner and inside linebacker conversations?
That it's a good competition going on. We have not come to any conclusions anywhere. We still have, 3 preseason games and a lot of time, but the competition's been good. I see guys improving, and it's, it's good, healthy competition.
When Cooper does come back, is that a domino effect with the outside? Is that going to affect sort of that rotation, which has been mainly Rodgers, Ringo at this point?
It could. We'll see where he's at. When he comes back, it's not going to be, okay, he's back. It's like nothing ever happened to him. I'm sure the guys downstairs will have rep limitations on him, practice limitations. So it will be dependent upon where he's at and how he's doing.
Vic, what have you seen out of Nakobe to this point?
Good. I thought Nakobe had the first few days of practice, I thought he played really good. And, took a step back a little bit in the stadium practice, but overall he's been doing really good.
Vic, how has Trotter acclimated himself with the first team?
Who's that?
Trotter, how has he acclimated himself against the first team reps yesterday?
I did fine. I mean, when we're in practice, whether it's first team or not, it's not kind of a declaration, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's doing good. He's getting better.
What's been your assessment of Jay LeSant thus far?
I think he started camp good. He had a carryover from a pretty good offseason. And when the pads came on, you could tell that, playing for Cornell and Houston Baptist wasn't exactly the same as the NFL. And but he's grinding, and I expect him to continue to improve.
How's the progression going with Bryce Huff being an every down player?
It's getting better. He's working very hard at it. He's very prideful in it, and he's improving.
Devin White said something in the spring about Devin White said something in the spring about his understanding being that in order to be used as a blitzer in this defense, he has to prove that he can do it to you. What's your evaluation of the linebackers so far in that capacity?
Of him?
I guess all of them. Are you
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of reps in it, but overall it's been good at times, not so good at other times. We need to win a high percentage of the battles when we go against a running back. And some guys have been good, some not so up to this point.
You mentioned line rotation. Jordan Davis said jokingly, like, you'd have him out there all the time if you wanted to. Obviously, that conversation is you have with Sirianni and Howie too. In the past, were you preferring that in some way to make room on other spots of the roster and defense? Does it affect how many defensive linemen you end up carrying? Is that part of your thinking before?
No. I mean, we have a minimal amount of D linemen that we need to have, and hopefully we'll have that. But no, you need, in the past here, they've counted guys like Sweat and Huff as D linemen, whereas they're more edge players, outside linebackers, the pure D linemen, D tackles, they'll, I don't want to speak, they'll need to be a minimum of 5 to 7 on the roster.
Vic, you mentioned Patrick Willis. I know Willis and Bowman is a tough curve to be graded upon, but to what degree does your defense rely upon high-level production from the linebackers?
I think every defense in the NFL relies on high-level production from the ILBs, especially with the way the game's being played now. ILB used to be a position where you somewhat could overachieve and be a tough guy, because there was but when the fullback disappeared and he's been replaced by a third wideout or a second tight end that's a good receiver, the game's played in space more. But yet they still run the ball a good deal. So the ILB position has become a more demanding position in this last decade or so. And it's hard not to play good defense without good ILB play. And these guys are working hard to get to that level.
We saw you use a couple 4-down looks. I understand you're probably just going to throw a lot of stuff out there during camp, but is that playing to a strength?
Not necessarily. It's more of a schematic thing.
When you look at Milton Williams, like what does he add to that D tackle group with Jordan and Jalen?
Yeah, I like Milt. Milt's a good player. He's solid, both versus the run and in pass rush. He's a guy that I've, from afar, have liked, that the Eagles have had. In fact, I tried to get us to trade for him last year in Miami, but Howie wouldn't do it. But I like Milt. Milt's a pro.
How about Moro Ajomo, just to follow up on that? It looked like he was...
Yeah, he's getting better. He's showing up. He's on the lighter side as D linemen go, D tackles, but he's athletic, plays extremely hard, very coachable, and he's had a good camp.
You mentioned your analytics that you kept to yourself. Can you explain the proprietary nature of those kinds of things when coaches are learning from you?
No.
Zach Vaughn, a little bit. You mentioned inside. He's played outside in the past. Are you focused on him as just an inside linebacker now, or does he still have that versatility?
He still has that versatility, and that's kind of what I was saying before, learning our team as we go through the rest of camp. We'll be able to use him in different ways because of his versatility.
What have you seen from Nolan Smith in terms of his polish as a pass rusher?
Yeah, he's been getting better. Obviously, speed is his calling card. He's light as comparison to NFL standards on the edge. So speed and athleticism has got to be where he makes up for that. And he's been doing a good job.
Do you have a process to hone your play calling skills, especially with a lot of new personnel for you?
Yeah, I'm really not following that question.
Yeah, how do you hone your play calling skills knowing that you're going to have a bunch of new players to deploy?
Yeah, I don't think it's play calling's part of it, but it's more so in my mind, if I'm hearing you right, of schematically what's the best thing to do with the group of guys we have. And then from that point, the play calling plays a major part in it.
When you were evaluating Quinion as a prospect, did you have inside versatility in your head, or is that something that sort of surprised you?
No, that wasn't part of the equation in that, because I do think when you, drafted a corner per se in the first round, he needs to be a corner. And then if he can play inside, that's a bonus. And this is a bonus right now that he's been able to play inside. We still really like him as a corner, though, too.
Vic Brandon Graham said that he wouldn't be surprised if you wanted to see the starters play on defense Friday night. What goes into that decision, and would you like to see that?
Yeah, I think Nick is going to, at some point, tell you guys what the rotation may be, generally speaking. I do think he's talked about playing those guys. I don't think he's made a final decision. But I do think it's good that guys get to play some in the preseason. Even the best players I've been around, they want to play, and they don't want their first play of the year to be a regular season game. They want to get out there and feel it.
As far as forcing turnovers, is there any indication in a practice setting that will show a team's, I guess, volume for that, or does it have to come via game situations?
Both. Our quarterbacks, Jalen in particular, has been doing a good job of not putting the ball in harm's ways to where we can get it. But it's something that we definitely do need to improve on.
Thanks, Vic.
Thank you, Vic.
Okay.
Thanks, Vic.